Welcome back to Global Facts, bringing you the latest news from around the world. You need to hear this if you're a global trade enthusiast. Imagine a narrow waterway, winding through a small Central American country, that quietly holds the power to shape the fate of nations. This isn't just any canal, it's a marvel of engineering and ambition, a lifeline for the global economy. The Panama Canal can speed up or slow down the entire world. Every day, massive cargo ships squeeze through its locks, carrying everything from electronics to grain. A single delay here can ripple across continents, affecting prices and supply chains everywhere. For over a century, this canal has been the ultimate shortcut for global trade, linking the vast Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Before it existed, ships had to brave the treacherous journey around South America's Cape Horn, a route that added weeks, even months to their voyages. The canal changed everything, slashing travel time and costs, and making modern trade possible. Today, about 6% of all maritime commerce passes through these waters. That means the food on your table, the fuel in your car, and the gadgets in your pocket likely made their way through this narrow passage. The canal is a vital artery, pumping life into the world's economy. But now, the canal is more than just a trade route, it's a geopolitical flashpoint. The US and China, the world's two largest economies, are locked in a tense standoff, each determined to secure influence over this strategic choke point. Control here means leverage over global commerce. Meanwhile, China has poured billions of dollars into Panama through its Belt and Road Initiative, building and operating major ports at both ends of the canal. These investments aren't just about business, they're about influence and about securing China's own trade routes for the future. Panama, caught in the middle of this global tug-of-war, faces tough choices. It must balance its historic ties to the US with the economic opportunities offered by China. The decisions made here won't just affect Panama, they could reshape the flow of global trade for decades to come. As the world watches, the Panama Canal stands as a symbol of both opportunity and tension, a narrow waterway with the power to change the course of history. The Panama Canal's story is one of ambition, vision, and the relentless pursuit of a dream that would change the world. For centuries, explorers and empires imagined a waterway connecting the Atlantic and Pacific, but it was only in the late 19th century that this vision began to take shape. The canal's creation demanded sacrifice, not just from powerful nations, but from the tens of thousands of workers who toiled in brutal conditions, enduring exhaustion, danger, and disease. The French tried and failed in the 1880s, defeated by the unforgiving jungle, relentless tropical diseases like malaria and yellow fever, and overwhelming financial ruin. Their dream was left in ruins, a cautionary tale of human limits. But the story didn't end there. The United States saw opportunity where others saw defeat. In 1903, the US supported Panama's independence from Colombia, securing the right to build and control the canal zone, a move that would shape the region for generations. Over the next decade, a massive workforce, drawn from around the world, carved a 50-mile path through mountains and dense jungle. Deadly diseases still threatened progress, but innovative public health campaigns led by doctors like William Gorgas finally brought malaria and yellow fever under control, saving countless lives. In 1914, after years of struggle and innovation, the first ship crossed the canal. This moment marked not just a triumph of engineering, but the dawn of a new era in global trade and American influence. For 85 years, the Canal Zone became a unique enclave, a slice of America in the heart of Central America. It brought prosperity and modernity, but also deep divisions and resentment among Panamanians who saw their land under foreign control. The American flag flying over the canal became a powerful symbol, one of progress for some, but of lost sovereignty and national pride for many Panamanians. Tensions simmered for decades, erupting in protests, demonstrations, and growing demands for Panamanian control. The canal was more than a waterway, it was a focal point for the nation's hopes and frustrations. The canal's history is not just about engineering marvels or economic power, it's about the enduring struggle for national pride, dignity, and true independence. This long and difficult struggle would eventually force a dramatic change in ownership, forever altering the destiny of Panama and its people. Panamanians' desire for control over the canal grew stronger each decade. Protests peaked in 1964 with Martyrs' Day, when violence over the flag issue brought global attention to Panama's sovereignty struggle. Years of negotiations led to the 1977 Torrijos-Carter treaties, abolishing the canal zone and setting a date for full transfer, December 31, 1999. The treaties also declared the canal a neutral international waterway, open to all nations in peace and war. The U.S. retained the right to defend the canal's neutrality, a clause still debated today. On the last day of 1999, Panama took control, raising its flag in a moment of national pride. The Panama Canal Authority was created to manage the waterway, proving its capability with a major expansion in 2016. Panama's long fight for sovereignty finally paid off, but new challenges were just around the corner. As Panama settled into its new role, China emerged as a powerful player. In 2017, Panama switched diplomatic recognition from Taiwan to Beijing, opening the door to massive Chinese investment. Chinese companies poured billions into infrastructure, including ports at both canal entrances, giving China a strategic foothold. For China, control over canal-adjacent ports secures trade routes and projects power into a region long dominated by the U.S. Panama's closeness with China brought economic benefits but also complications, as the U.S. voiced growing concerns. President Mulino has recently tried to distance Panama from China's Belt and Road Initiative, under U.S. pressure. Panama is now caught between two giants, each pulling it in a different direction. The balancing act is more delicate than ever. China's rapid rise in Panama has set off alarm bells in Washington. For decades, the United States considered Panama, and especially its canal, a vital strategic asset, a symbol of American influence in the region. But now, with China's growing economic footprint and its control over key infrastructure, U.S. officials are increasingly concerned about losing their traditional dominance. U.S. leaders, worried about losing influence, have pressured Panama to limit ties with Beijing. High-level diplomatic visits have become more frequent, with American officials urging Panamanian leaders to reconsider Chinese investments and partnerships. Behind closed doors, Washington has warned of potential security risks and economic consequences if Panama drifts too far into China's orbit. The U.S. pushed for the sale of Chinese-operated ports to American interests, aiming to regain control at the canal's gateways. American companies have been encouraged to invest heavily in Panama's logistics and shipping sectors, hoping to counterbalance China's presence and reassert U.S. economic power in the region. Military ties have also been renewed. A 2025 security agreement gives U.S. troops access to Panamanian bases, officially to fight drug trafficking. The agreement marks the most significant U.S. military presence in Panama since the handover of the canal in 1999, signaling a new era of security cooperation. Many see this as a direct counter to China's presence and a return of the U.S. military footprint. Critics argue that the move is less about fighting crime, and more about re-establishing American influence in a region now contested by global powers. The move sparked protests in Panama, with citizens fearing a loss of sovereignty and a return to the Canal Zone era. Memories of past U.S. interventions run deep, fueling public anxiety and calls for greater independence from foreign powers. President Mulino faces backlash at home, accused of caving to U.S. pressure. Lawmakers and activists have demanded more transparency and debate over the new agreements, questioning whether Panama's interests are truly being protected. The U.S.-China rivalry is now playing out on Panamanian soil, with the local population caught in the crossfire. Everyday life in Panama is increasingly shaped by the tug-of-war between these two superpowers, as both seek to win hearts, minds, and strategic advantage. Panama's independence is once again under strain. The nation's leaders must navigate a delicate balance, striving to protect their sovereignty while managing the competing interests of the world's most powerful countries. The struggle for control is far from over. As the world watches, Panama stands at the center of a new great power contest, its future hanging in the balance. Tensions over the canal erupted on the world stage at a 2025 UN Security Council meeting. Panama's President Mulino presided as the US and China traded accusations over the canal's future. The US warned that China's influence threatened global trade and security, drawing parallels to the South China Sea. China fired back, accusing the US of hypocrisy and interference, insisting its investments were purely commercial. Mulino tried to steer a neutral course, reaffirming Panama's commitment to the canal's neutrality and sovereignty. The meeting ended without resolution, but the world saw just how high the stakes had become. The canal's fate is now a global issue, not just a regional one. Panama's challenge: remain neutral amid superpower rivalry. Panama's walking a tightrope between the US and China. The government leverages the rivalry for investment and better deals, but risks losing control of its own destiny. Recent moves to appease the US, like distancing from China's Belt and Road and giving US Navy ships neutral cost passage, aim to secure American support. But these concessions spark domestic protests and fears of eroding sovereignty. Experts warn that playing both sides could turn Panama into a battleground, not an independent player. The Torrijos-Carter treaties made the canal a neutral waterway. Upholding that neutrality is Panama's best defense. If Panama is seen as favoring one side, trust in the canal's neutrality and its global importance could collapse. The government must convince the world it is the impartial guardian of this vital asset. The stakes, Panama's sovereignty, and the stability of global trade. Beyond geopolitics, the canal faces a growing threat: climate change. Its lock system depends on vast amounts of fresh water, but recent droughts have pushed the system to its limits. In 2023-2025, severe drought forced the canal to restrict ship transits and cargo loads, creating global shipping bottlenecks. These disruptions drove up costs and delayed goods worldwide, exposing the canal's vulnerability. The drought was a wake-up call. The canal's future depends on adapting to a changing climate. Security threats are also rising. Cyber attacks, piracy, and smuggling now challenge canal operations. Managing the canal now requires environmental and digital resilience, not just engineering. The fight for the canal's future is as much against nature as it is against political rivals. The Panama Canal stands at a crossroads, pulled by superpowers and threatened by nature. Its future depends on upholding neutrality, the foundation of its global trust and business. If the canal is seen as controlled by one power, its credibility and economic value could vanish. Panama must assert its independence, welcome investment from all, and reject politicization. Transparency and respect for sovereignty are key to maintaining trust. Investing in environmental solutions is just as vital as diplomatic balance. The canal's fate is a test of whether small nations can remain independent in a divided world. For global commerce and peace, the world must hope Panama's neutrality endures.